Space has always been a topic of interest for most of us. Space is beyond the moon and stars. Many things have been explored, whereas many things in space are yet to be explored. Scientists are doing their best to bring up new research to you. Artemis's mission is to start up with the trending topic these days in the space field. Hello guys, and welcome to Fly Me to the Moon. The topic for today's video is NASA. Artemis 1 is just the beginning. Here's what's coming next. Here we go. NASA's Artemis 1 mission in the moon was completely successful over the weekend with the splashdown of an Orion spacecraft off the coastline of California. Still, nationwide crews were already working hard assembling equipment and training people for the program's upcoming missions. Progress is still being made for Artemis 2, 3, and even beyond, even though officials are still analyzing data from the most recent 26-day operation that started on November 16th with the Space Launch System rockets launching from Kennedy Space Center. Comparable to Artemis 1, the program's subsequent mission will carry men to the moon, but it won't make a surface landing. That's anticipated before the year 2024. All about Artemis 1. The new Space Launch System's initial launch was Artemis 1, as NASA puts it, as a big lift aircraft. It is considerably more potent than the Saturn V system used by Apollo in the 1960s and 1970s to send people to the moon, making it the most robust and rich rocket motor yet launched into space. It is a novel kind of rocket system since it features two strap-on solid launch boosters taken from the spaceship in addition to two primary engines made of a mixture of liquid oxygen and hydrogen. It crosses the Saturn V rocket from Apollo and the spacecraft. By using the moon's attraction, this move will slingshot Orion into a greater distance. Orion will surpass Apollo 13's previous record for a crew-rated vehicle's longest separation from Earth during this phase. A collection of both passive and active instruments on board Orion will detect irradiation and specific other flight parameters while the spacecraft is in DRO to help scientists better comprehend the circumstances astronauts will encounter on a manned mission. Artemis 1 is unmanned, but Orion isn't empty of people. Moonikin Campos. What is it? NASA's Moonikin Campos, a mannequin with radiation source instruments and detectors on its chair to capture specific gravity and vibratory stresses during flight, is placed into the commanding chair of the spacecraft. Campos will indeed be traveling with two phantom mannequins as well. Those two limbless torso busts, Helga and Zohar, are equipped with approximately 6,000 passive and 34 active data lodgers each to evaluate the performance of the AstroRad irradiation jacket. Building components that resemble human skeletal and muscular structures were employed to construct Helga and Zohar. They are built with female anatomy-specific parts that imitate the ovaries and breast tissue, which are more sensitive to radiation. Although only Zohar would wear the AstroRad vest as part of the Matryoshka AstroRad Radiation Experiment, or MARE, M-A-R-E, Helga will act as a reference. Scientists will contrast the two mannequins' radiation doses once they return to the planet. If you're floating in space, well, hurry up and land on that like button right now and comment with your views and share the video. Subscribe to Fly Me to the Moon to get latest space updates. Thank you for that. Let's continue to the video. If the AstroRad vest works as intended, astronauts can undertake duties near their spaceship where they usually need to seek cover from radiation occurrences. Regions of orbit further out from our planet seem more susceptible to radioactivity and consequently provide a greater danger for astronaut exposures, in contrast to the shielding of geomagnetic field and low Earth orbit. Orion's command module will carry out its DRO departure burn on Operation Day T+16, or December 1st, placing the spacecraft on course for its second lowest lunar pass in the following 4 days. The final fire by the payload bay will launch Orion on its return to the planet. After that, a 6-day cruise takes us back to our blue planet. On December 11th, Orion returned to Earth, slamming into the sky at around 25,000 miles per hour or 40,000 kilometers per hour. This will be a significant test for the spacecraft and its thermal shielding, which will withstand temperatures reaching 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit or 2,750 degrees Celsius. The Artemis 1 mission would end when Orion splashes down in the Pacific Ocean under parachute protection. If everything goes according to plan with Artemis 1, Artemis 2 will take people on a flyby of the moon in 2024 or so, and Artemis 3 will land a team near the moon's southern pole about a year or so afterward. The major objective of NASA's Artemis program is to establish sustained permanent habitation on and within the moon. The launch of Artemis 1 took a while to occur. On August 29th, the mission team attempted to launch the satellite but was unsuccessful due to several problems, including an abnormal temperature gauge inside one of the SLS internal combustion engines. On September 3rd, NASA made another attempt, this time certain that the defective sensor, not the coolant equipment, was to blame for the erroneous reading. Whenever mission controllers discovered a gas leak while unloading main stage fuel, that possibility was also lost. The climate caused additional delays for Artemis 1 with Hurricane Ian in late September and Tropical Storm Nicole. The 42-day Artemis 1 mission was supposed to test the Orion spaceship. This spacecraft will travel around the moon and bring human crew and passengers there one day. Orion will enter the planet's surface and begin orbiting the planet using Interim Cryogenic Propulsion Stage or ICPS, a 45-foot-long, cylinder-shaped structure with a single engine. A servicing capsule provided by the European Space Program will make any necessary course corrections as Orion glides towards the moon. The moon's gravity will help accelerate it back towards Earth at precisely the appropriate moment after it's fired its motors. The Orion spacecraft was scheduled to blast back into our atmosphere on October 10th at a speed of 6.8 miles per second, making it the quickest return of any artificial spaceship. NASA couldn't replace these circumstances on Earth, so the craft and its heat shield had to withstand a temperature of 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit during this test voyage, according to Gizmodo's George Dvorsky. The SLS is perhaps the most powerful rocket that has ever been created. It is 32 floors high and around 6 million pounds in weight. Several businesses constructed it that NASA hired, including Northrop Grumman for the boosters, Aerojet Rocketdyne for the motors, and Boeing for the spacecraft's orange core stage. The program's estimated cost of $23.8 billion received considerable flack for exceeding the allocated amount. Whenever the SLS lifts off, it will have a thrust of around 8.8 million pounds, significantly more than 7.5 million pounds thrust of the Saturn V rocket that powered the Apollo missions. However, when SpaceX's Starship, which is presently in construction and is intended to transport people to profound locations, lifts off, it will become the most powerful rocket thanks to its enormous 17 million pounds of thrust capacity. NASA notes that the SLS rocket is the only model capable of carrying Orion, people, and supplies to the moon for a singular purpose. Kennedy originally intended to launch Apollo to beat the Soviet Union to the moon. The presidency wasn't especially interested in space travel or the moon, but it was an ambitious aim that would undoubtedly place America foremost in the innovation and astronomy. Once Orion is launched into orbit, the ICPS will split from Orion and install these spacecrafts in 3 distinct spots between Earth and the moon. One of these communication satellites will use a solar sail to travel to a neighboring asteroid to capture images of it. To examine how cosmic rays impact living organisms, another one contains yeast. Further research, airbag testing, imaging of the moon and spacecraft, spectroscopic scans of the moon, and examination of lunar ice will all be done by other communication satellites. According to NASA, an additional $3.2 billion was given under the SLS stage's manufacturing and evolutionary agreement to keep producing Artemis 3 and 4. The deal also calls for the acquisition of components for the Artemis 5 and 6 core phases, the provision of the mission's more potent investigation upper stage, and manufacturing and technical assistance. The agency stated in a release that the signing of the agreement extends manufacturing operations and planning for future research through July of 2028. To enable upcoming space exploration projects, NASA may purchase up to 10 core phases and a maximum of 8 exploratory Earth's upper atmosphere under the terms of the agreement. And that will conclude today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it today. Before going, don't forget to like, share, and comment down below, and subscribe to Fly Me to the Moon for the latest updates. We'll be back very soon with another segment, but until then, take care.